afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is KeithJames with St.James, UCC in Allentown, broadcasting daily some modest piano playing of hymns. And this is in lieu of meeting at the church building every Sunday, still not there yet. And Pastor Josh gives a message every morning at 10:30. His Facebook page is Knappenberger JD, initials JD, Knappenberger JD, and that's Knappenberger with a KN, a double P, and an E in the burger. And he's at 10:30, and I'm at 2:30. And St. James, UCC, is on the corner of 15th and Walnut in Allentown. And today I'm going to play some communion hymns. And they're communion hymns that I grew up with. I'm connected to this wire. So these hymns are, I focused on the chant hymns, the ancient hymns that are published in the Episcopal hymnal that I grew up with, but they're not necessarily Episcopalian. They're older than any. They're Catholic in origin. They're even older than Catholic in a sense, I suppose. Some of them, I'm not sure. They're very ancient chants, and it was in the great churches of the Renaissance and the early Renaissance that mankind divined and devised a system to write music. And it was born out of the tradition of singing chants in church, and they wanted to write down the music so that the people could sing the same thing together. And they started off with one line. We have 5 lines on our staff, plus more, but they started off with one line and putting notes on them. I think they're called neumes. And they devised a system to write notes so they could sing their chants. And these chants and the music notation was designed to reflect the rhythm of the speaking voice. So the music was not written in a time signature, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. There was no time signature as such. It was a free setting of the music to what was the rhythm of the speaking voice, and so that the prayers could be sung. And it was out of this learning how to write these down that the high motet of the Renaissance was born, out of a long history where first in the church you were only allowed to sing one line at a time in unison, the chant, and no instruments. And over time the organ was allowed, and over time they decided they could sing 2 lines at one time, but they had to be parallel. And when they were experimenting with parallel motion in the melody line, they learned more about the physical realities of sound and what the results are of delineating the sound into systems to play the music back. And they discovered that there were different key signatures. They discovered this because they didn't call them key signatures, but they discovered there were limits to how they could parallel before a note would be not right. It wouldn't sound good. And they learned this from the fact that Pythagoras was learning how sound worked by plucking a string and then dividing the string in half of length and plucking and discovering it was an octave, the same pitch, and then dividing that again and discovering it was a fifth, and then dividing again and discovering thirds. And they were discovering the way that overtones worked and pitches within pitches. And when they discovered these pitches within pitches and overtones, and then experimenting with parallel motion of 2 lines of the same melody but on different levels of notes, they hit these points where it wouldn't sound good, and they would devise different key signatures or different starting notes. And so this was kind of the early development of key signature. but also was happening an early development of harmony, because after they decided they could do parallel motion, they decided to experiment with playing notes that were not the same, not unison. So eventually they in the church were composing music with up to 4, 5, 6 lines, and all the lines were based on these chants. And the chants would be played together at the same time, or the same chant would be played against itself, slightly shifted, or they would make up a new line of music to go with the chant. But they were experimenting with horizontal motion. All the notes were flowing horizontally. And over time, they discovered there was also a phenomenon of harmony. And the harmony was discovered by listening to how the notes lined up and what chords or what sounds the notes would make when combined together during this horizontal motion of chants being combined. And eventually we went through the period of pre-harmony in the Renaissance, where beautiful church motets were written. And the composers were experimenting with harmony, but they had not figured out a real sure system. Also, it was very free, and it was not, well, it was very free. And eventually, at the end of the Renaissance and into the Baroque period, Bach, he cataloged all the different key signatures, and he kind of systemized the harmony that had been developing over the last couple hundred years. And he also tempered the keyboard so that he tuned the keyboard so that all the different key signatures could be played on the same keyboard, but it was actually a perverting of the true perfect pitches, because if you take a note and do a perfect octave, if you do a perfect octave to that note higher and higher, it doesn't stay perfect. It spirals out of tune. So Bach kind of squished the keyboard so that he made little errors in the tuning so that all the different key signatures could be played on the same keyboard. Okay, I've really said a lot here, but going back to chants, these chants have become ancient hymns that we sing still today, and today they are harmonized with our modern understanding of Western harmony. So the chants in the Episcopal hymnal, they are wonderfully harmonized with the sensitivity of understanding where the chants came from, what kind of harmony the people understood and used during the time of the chants. And so I have to say that this Episcopal hymnal does a really nice job of harmonizing these ancient chants. So that's what our modern day hymns that use these chants are. They're ancient chants, and they're harmonized in different manner by the understanding of modern harmony, which Bach is kind of the father of, in a sense, or the very major cataloger of the development of Western harmony. And after Bach, then we have the story that goes toward the atonality in the turn of the century 100 years ago, which I will not get into, but which is also a very beautiful and wonderful story to me, because I love 20th century music. Okay, so I'm going to play some communion hymns, and they are based on ancient chants. That's an amen that they put on the end. Okay. You may know some of these melodies, depending on the audience, and there's one here that is very famous. Okay, our next one, Pange Lingua. Okay, that ends on an unsettling or unfinished chord. It would sound better if it ended. Okay, I won't go into that. So, lovely. Our next one is Adoro Devote. These are all Latin. Humbly we adore thee. This is a more famous one, though not the most famous one that I think you'll know, but you might know this melody. Okay, humbly we adore thee. All communion hymns, ancient chants. Now we have O Saving Victim opening wide, Martyr Dei. Okay, then we have Loud as Sion, Sion, praise thy Savior. Okay, it goes into a second hymn. I'm going to kind of play two of them together. Okay, and then we have, okay, this is the one that I think almost everyone will know, because I think this is sung at Christmas time. This is in the communion section of this hymnal, but it's Let All Mortal Flesh Keep Silence. I think a lot of people know this melody. Okay, let our mortal flesh keep silence. Okay, this looks like a French chant. French ancient music that this is all from has origins in France, in Italy, in the Netherlands, in England, all over Europe. The high time of the Renaissance, the Netherlanders, the Flemish, were very important in this movement, and the Italians, it was all over Europe. Okay. Next, okay, 195. Okay, the next three or four, I have four more listed, are a little different. Still communion hymns, still very ancient. This melody you might know. That was a little rough. Then we have, but you might know that melody. Then it goes on. My hymnal is chopped off at the binding, and when I play alone, I'm not so nervous, and it's not such a problem. But sometimes, today on this one actually, the notes were cut off, and when I was playing earlier, it's like, oh, I know it's there, I can just improvise, it's fine. But it tripped me up live right now. Anyway, so let's keep going. Okay, my God, thy table now is spread. These are all communion hymns still. And this, the time signature is cut off. Okay, it's in the key of D. It's beautiful. These last 3 or 4 hymns I shouldn't be playing because I didn't practice them enough and they're a little difficult. And we have, I have 2 more. Let's do all the ones I listed, even if I'm not ready to play them. Let's see. Here I am, my Lord, I see thee face to face. again. A little rough, no comments. Okay, the last one, 201. Strengthen for service, Lord, the hands that holy things have taken. That would have to be finished for more words to understand that. Strengthen for service, Lord, the hands that holy things have taken. Let ears that now have heard thy songs to clamor never waken. Ooh, I would still have to read these words deeper to follow this. Strengthen for service, Lord, the hands that holy things have taken. That's funny sounding to me, because why would we strengthen the hands that are taking holy things? There's a meaning to this that I'm missing. I'd have to read the whole hymn here. Let ears that now have heard thy songs to clamor never waken. Interesting. Lord, may the tongues which holy sang keep free from all deceiving. This seems to be about hypocrisy. The eyes which saw thy love be bright, thy blessed hope perceiving. The feet that tread thy hallowed courts from light, do thou not banish. The bodies by thy body fed, with thy new life replenish. These are difficult words. Okay. It's a beautiful hymn, though. This is my problem. I played it very beautifully alone, and now with you I can't do it. I will do it. Help me. Here we go. 2 flaps. Beautiful. That has a irregular time signature, like a chant. It was written in the inspiration of chant, but it's a modern hymn from 1942. It was probably written for this. Oh, excuse me, the melody is very old. I take that back. The harmony is modern, but the melody is an ancient Syriac melody. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed this kind of thoughtful music today, and I'll close here with my regular closing song. His grace I am redeemed, by his blood I am made Okay, have a lovely day. Ah, thank you, Barbara. It's nice to see you. God bless you too. And have a lovely day all. Thank you. See you tomorrow.